Hey guys, how you doing today? Well, I think we're gonna get right into it, okay? So, here we are. It's been a couple of days now since I've found the bones that I've collected, as you saw in the previous video. There was approximately 11 bones that I confiscated, brought them home. And yesterday I went out again. Actually, I went out a couple more times. What I experienced that day and the way everything was, I knew I had to go back. It took a couple days, and I had to do, how would I put it, I had to do some detective work. Because I wanted to know what the bones were doing there, why they were there, and there was something else that hit me too, why certain bones were set in a certain way. Now, the way the bones were kind of scattered, I went back out a couple times to look, see if there was any other bones. And yesterday I found a few more, okay? Which were a little bit a little bit of a distance where the other bones were set at. Okay, now that being said, I've done my detective work. I could pretty much well tell you probably what went down of basically how these bones got the way they are to begin with. For the last 2 days, well, let me put it this way. For the moment I collected the bones and I got home, I went straight to work on it. So it's been about 2 or 3 days now. And I've put a lot of research in this, a lot of hours. And so what I did is I had to use my forensics, okay? Now, what I have done here, I've gotten 3 particular bones that I picked out. A couple days ago, I put it through a process to sterilize the bones. And this way I can identify whatever abnormality is on the bone, such as any kind of markings, you know, nicks, cracks, breaks, things like that. And I got that completed. I also spent about 12 to 13 hours on going through numerous and numerous photos of different variety of bones of different variety of animals that are in the Sierra Nevada mountains. Okay? Now what I have found was this. The bones that I collected do not match any known large mammal in the Sierra Nevada mountains. I cannot find any match. The bones I got they're too enormous to belong to any known animal, and that includes all your major predators in the Sierra Nevada mountains, okay? So, where does that leave us? Well, it leaves us here. What the hell is this? What was this creature? We're kind of at a stalemate right now. I've come pretty close to kind of give you an idea of what I'm dealing with here, okay? The full scope of it. Now, the first question I wanted to answer to myself was, number one, where do the bones exactly come from and how did they get where they were at? The answer is pretty simple. It finally came to me after days of research. What I believe, because of the fact when I did my forensics, and after I sterilized all the bones, I studied the bones for the last couple of days. This is what I found. Absolutely no abnormalities whatsoever. No fractures, no breaks, and whatever this guy was, he was not brought down by any known predator, for the simple reason there is not one single claw mark or teeth mark, period. An indication that it was not taken down, he didn't meet his demise by any predator. Secondly, the bones were in a state of what we call bleaching, okay? Because it's out in the open environment, the environment up here in the Sierra Nevada mountains is pretty harsh, okay? So it's out in the open, then of course you know that the decay process kicks in from the moment of death, okay? Out in here in the open, the decay process is 2 to 3 times more rapid, okay? I have found no type of skin, cartilage, no ligaments, no tendons, absolutely nothing. The bones were they're clean. And probably the reason why they're so clean, my guess is whatever this guy was out there in the wilderness part, it either died from natural causes and or some kind of an injury, an accident. My guess more likely, because I find no abnormalities on the bones, so my guess is most likely this died of natural causes. And it would make sense why the bones were all separated, because in effect there's no tendons, no ligaments, no cartilage, there was nothing left there, period. Now, what probably cleaned the bones down to that state? Very simple, they're up there, maggots. Scavengers did not find the carcass because simple reason, there's no markings on the bones. There would have been teeth marks all over the place on these bones. There was none. Now, so I believe what happened is that whatever this guy was, he met his own demise by natural causes. So he drops out there to the forest. And probably, definitely, you're out in the wilderness. I mean, you're going to find this. I mean, it's going to be like finding a needle in a haystack, okay? So my guess is the dead carcass was never found, obviously. But here's a good question. What found the bones, and what made them bring it to the area where I found them? Now, here's a real interesting point. If you've ever on the previous video on the rock, there was 3 bones and they were set in a certain way, okay? Why was that? And secondly, that was not done by no animal by all means, because something had to carry the bones where they found the carcass. Which would make sense why I found scattered bones away from the main area. And to actually place the bones on the rock would take what? It would take hands, okay? It's not the work of any animal, come on, man. I mean, they just don't have that capability, period. Now, here's the other catcher. Now, we're going to examine these bones real quick, okay? Now, what I got here, we'll start off with these. And what I have here is I have what you call a vertebrae. I have 2 vertebrae here, okay? Now, as you can see, there's 1 vertebrae. You see this large, very large vertebrae. And this is another vertebrae, okay? These two go together. Now, I'll go ahead and give you this little tidbit too. The only difference between humans and apes with the spinal cord is the lower lumbar vertebrae, okay? Apes generally have 3 to 4 lumbar vertebrae. Humans have 5. Interesting, huh? We're not too far apart. So, the size of the human vertebrae, not even close. The size of other vertebrae I have looked at, studied, cow, bear, deer. This is no deer, this is no bear, this is none of the above. I just told you previously. Not related to any known mammal in the Sierra Mountains. Now, something else interesting. To tell you the scope of the size, whatever this guy was, how big he was. You look at this one vertebrae alone. Okay? Right here, on the sides, right here on your spine sits here, you have a muscle to your left and a muscle to the right of the spine, okay, where the muscle's there for to support the spine. Without the muscles there, you're not going to be upright. Your spine's just going to, your torso's going to collapse, okay? So, you got these two muscles that support the spine, right through here, okay? Now, you could just fathom the scope of the size of the back muscles. Because I'm telling you right now, it's extremely large. The muscles were extremely large. Now this vertebrae, lumbar vertebrae right here, I took the measurements on it. You ready for this? This point from here across 3 inches. We got over 2 inches in here, and we have 4 inches as in length, another 4 inches as in width. And what does that mean? Well, that means basically, say, human vertebrae, lumbar, could it be about like that? Are you following me? Okay. So, and these here, I had them locked in before. And let's see if I can get it down again. Maybe that way, I think. It's like a puzzle, man. So you got something like this. You see? Now, I'll give you another tidbit here in a second. And here's another bone that I chose to show you. Now this one here, actually, you can see it. That's the disc plate. That's the disc. Okay, there's a ball joint that goes into it. By guess, this is either from the leg or the shoulder. And naturally, the other piece with the ball joint is missing. Okay, but you can see the disc perfect. And I see no abnormalities in the disc at all, so it had those shoulder problems. Now, here's the other thing, bone density. The bone density I found in some of these bones were anywhere from 1/2 inch to 1 inch. I'm going to tell you something, people. That is a shitload of bone density. What does that mean? That means this is the type of bone that any predator would have a hard time clamping onto and breaking. This is the kind of bone that is hard to break. It's a heavy bone, it's got a lot of density to it. You would have to be extremely large to accommodate these bones as in muscularity, okay? So without a doubt, whatever this guy was, he was extremely huge and extremely muscular, period. And so, what do we have exactly here? That's the big puzzle. Now the other unknown bones that I found in the Sierras about, I think it was about 6-7 years ago, me and Garland, and I still have them. I still classify them as unknown. I can't get anybody to do any bone DNA out of it. I've even sent videos of it to certain universities with anthropology. They refuse to even respond. So I don't contact them anymore. It ain't worth the time. Ain't worth the dime. And besides that, I really anymore, I wonder if they know what the hell they're doing anymore, to be quite honest. Anywho, I try to get some DNA extracted from the bone, from the last set I had. I almost was about to get it done. There's only one person I know of, and trust me, I know what I'm talking about. I've had a lot of DNA testing done, me and Garland, throughout the years. It's a very expensive process, and as years went by, it's even more and more expensive. It costs a lot of money. These bones, because of the fact there's still some marrow left in them, it should not be a problem extracting any DNA from these bones, okay? Now the problem is finding out who can do it. Because you have to go through a certain process when you DNA test bones compared to, like, say, blood, hair, skin, that type of thing, okay? The bone, you go through a different type of process. It's a long, dragged out, difficult process. Not too many people know how to do it. The only one that I know that absolutely knew what he was doing on it and was known for it, and that was Professor Brian Sykes. And the last time I contacted Brian, it had to do with the last bones I had, and I don't know what happened, but I haven't heard from him since. And which kind of worries me. I hope he's okay. So what we got here? I hate saying it, guys, but there is only one very large, muscular, living thing in the Sierra Nevada mountains that I know of like that. That's Sasquatch. I must remind you, too, I don't care what you heard or who says what, I'm telling you straight up myself, because if anybody knows these kind of things, would be me, and people like me. I dig in it too even deeper than most. I've been at this a long time, guys, a long time. I've dedicated a good part of my life to this, and with no regrets, because I love what I'm doing. There has never been one bone, period, ever found on Sasquatch, period, ever. Nada, zilch, and that's a fact. Some people wonder why. Some say they bury their dead. No, they do not bury their dead. I told you 100,000 times they live under the ground. If one meets its demise and others are around, they will take the body underground, out of sight, out of mind. That's why there's never bones found. Some of them meet their demise just out in the middle of nowhere, like this guy, and it's never found. Interesting too, usually the main critter in the forest that's really notorious for consuming bones is a porcupine, okay? These bones haven't even been touched. So that also tells me they weren't out there that damn long. Just long enough after the decaying process finished and the bleaching process started. I also believe that just maybe the way the three bones were set on that rock, something is sending a message. It could be a symbol. Remember I told you, these guys, when they communicate by wood knocking, rock clanging, and they use wood of the forest, and they also use rock and stone as points of communication and symbols. I've been kind of pondering the fact the way it was set up. I believe it was a symbol. Maybe what they were saying, a fallen comrade. I'm not going to say I'm 100% sure that maybe this is a Sasquatch, but I'm saying the possibilities are there, because I cannot explain any other reason why these bones are the way they are. Now, mind you, because of the fact bones have never been found, no one really knows the hell what they would look like anyway. My guess is because of the fact that they're primate and they do have human in them. This is pretty damn close. Pretty damn close. And because also the size of the bone. This poor bastard was one big son of a bitch. And muscular as hell. Period. Okay, guys. Hey, I hope you liked what I came up with in my research, because what I just told you, that is all factual science, what I did, okay? One thing I like about forensics don't lie, all right? You do that with the pure science. It does not lie. So the last thing to do, and the only thing left to do, is I guess I'll have to find somebody who can extract DNA from bone. There's another person I know of in Oregon, but I don't know if he's got the capability. Like I said, the only one that I knew that had that kind of capability was Brian Sykes. I even tried to have bone extracted DNA. I contacted UC Davis. They have a veterinarian school there. They didn't have the capabilities of doing it. So that's where we're at. That's funny. That's a fantastic thing about when you research in cryptology. It goes on, and there's a lot to it. So we'll see. Now, I want to just show you something out of my own personal files, just to give you the scope of the size you would have to be to accommodate these bones. Okay. This was taken off one of my video cams. I believe it was in 2015. And what you're about to see, I'm going to tell you right now, what you're about to see is not a bear. And it's not anything that you might think of in the Sierra Mountains. I'm telling you that right now, straight up. I have went over this video for years. I have broken it down piece by piece. I've validified. What I'm about to show you, some say there are some good researchers that have been researching on the dog man for years. One of them is back east. when he first viewed this, he contacted me, and I mean, this guy was stoked as hell. And because of the fact, he's one of the top Dogman researchers. He told me he believes that what I have here is a trail cam video caught of Dogman. Now, between you and me, I'm still got a little debate on that. I'm not too quite sure that it is a Dogman. It may appear to be, but there's other things that you will not see that, because the only way you will is unless you look at the videos where I broke it all down, piece by piece, so you get all the total characteristics of what I was dealing with here. Okay? So nonetheless, take a look at this real quick before I let you go, because I just want to give you a full scope of what size it would take to accommodate these bones. Okay? Give me a second. There we go. Now I'm going to tell you guys, you see where those apples and that limb, that is exactly 12 to 13 feet from the ground. Which means what? What you're about to see is about, at minimum, 9 feet tall. As you can see, the size of the arm itself, the forearm, huge, massive. Yep. Run it past you one more time. And remember, the limb is 12 to 13 feet in the air, and this guy he's biped, and he just grabs it and pulls it down. There is no bear in the Sierra Nevada mountains that stand upright at 9 feet plus. Okay? We'll just get that understood right now. Okay guys, there you go. Hey, look, I did my work. Hope you're happy with this video. I hope it was informative for you, and hey, research goes on. You guys have a good one. Have a good weekend. I gotta go. Bye.